senior journalist with the RJR Gleaner Communication Group, Mr. Earl Moxham, will take us through the International Week. That was morning, friend.
Morning.
Hope you had a great weekend. What is G20? Is that 20 leaders? What is it?
Essentially a group of 20 leading industrial nations. And they meet ever so often to discuss where they stand in terms of the global economy and related issues. And they have been meeting now for quite a few years.
Okay.
So this would, you have the G7, which at one time was G8 before they kicked out Russia.
Yeah.
And so you have those plus the other leading industrial nations coming together. So you have the top 7 in one group, and then they combine with the others to form the G20 for these special summits.
And that just went on, and as part of that, Mr. Trump and Mr. Putin met each other.
They met each other there. But before we get to their meeting, the fact that there was, there used to be a lot of demonstrations against these major multilateral meetings across the world, but they had abated somewhat in the early days of the globalization movement. And I recall, for example, when I attended the WTO summit in Seattle in 1999, that one was a major one. I was locked out of my hotel and out of the conference room for the whole day because of the intensity of the demonstration, and that escalated over the years and then somewhat abated. The question would therefore be, why the strength of this demonstration at this particular one? And I have a feeling that it was in part fueled by the presence of Trump himself, yes, because in Europe, the sentiments against him are very, very negative.
For good reason.
Well, given all the things that he has done, the postures that he has taken, his opposition to the Paris Climate Accord, for example, these are things that deeply, deeply trouble people who are of the view that climate change is real, and that if the world does not come together and do something about it, then the planet could be in further trouble.
Well, what about the meeting with Mr. Putin? Now, depending on who you listen to, you're kind of not too certain what went on.
Well, I think what went on for sure is that Putin ran circles around Trump. And for Trump to have come out of that meeting declaring that the Russian hacking issue is in the past and they're moving forward. Furthermore, declaring that the US and Russia would work together on an airtight cybersecurity system going forward.
Mr. Trump don't know what's going on.
Absolutely not. And he was so ridiculed. And interestingly, his Treasury Secretary initially yesterday came out in support of it and telling everybody what a wonderful thing it was. But then the Republican heavyweights such as John McCain and Lindsey Graham came out in such strong opposition to it that Trump eventually backtracked on it. The former Secretary of Defense under Obama, the last one, Ash, said that this would be like getting the person who broke into your house to fix your burglar alarm system or something to that effect.
Wow, incredible.
Yes.
Incredible. So and he's kind of letting Putin go almost. Yes. It's almost like he said, well,
he's letting him go. He is not the sort of powerful negotiator he claimed to have been. By the way, that was Ash Carter, his surname slipped for a moment. His trump card, so to speak, prior to the election and during the campaign and all of that, was that he was a tough businessman, a tough negotiator, and he would show all of these professional politicians how easy it is to hammer out deals because he's such a tough negotiator. He's finding that it is far from the truth in terms of his own capacity for doing these things, fueled in part by the fact that he's so ignorant and is quite comfortable in his ignorance. You cannot negotiate with someone who is as well prepared as a former KGB chief if you yourself are not doing your homework.
Yeah. He's really just not a good president, is he? And that's an understatement.
Well, I think there are many people who are seriously looking at how they might be able to remove him from office before his term expires. And that's for many, many reasons, including the fact that some people believe that he is not He does not have the mental capacity, he doesn't have the intellectual capacity, he does not have the interest, etc. And some people do not trust his motives, etc. The fact that his son, Donald Jr., is now in the news for having met prior to the election with a Russian lawyer who he thought initially had the dirt on Hillary Clinton so that they could use against her in the campaign. It raises again the question, by what means would she have obtained the dirt? Would it possibly have been through hacking?
Right.
And therefore, why would you be seeking to cooperate and coordinate with someone from a foreign country who has done something illegal again in your own country? So these are things that are tied up in this kind of web. I don't know what the special prosecutor will eventually find, but there are so many things that are suggesting that there is more to it than they are trying to make out.
All right. The Iraqis claiming victory over ISIS in certain parts of the country.
Yeah, well, the president hasn't quite, the prime minister who went to Mosul yesterday hasn't quite declared victory, but he said that they were pretty close and they're almost on the verge of wiping out ISIS in Mosul, which is, I think, the second largest city in Iraq. And it certainly seems that they have accomplished most of what they need to accomplish there. But as you and I were saying before, what is left is complete devastation in terms of if you look at the buildings. And then there is a human cost.
Yeah.
The thousands who were killed, also the impact on those little children who witnessed all of that they witnessed and experienced all that they experienced. It will take quite a bit of psychological intervention, I believe, to see them through this.
And of the thousands, I suspect many, many innocent civilians.
Many, many innocents, and some of them were used as human shield, which also shows the cowardice of this group.
Yeah.
But remember, they are still a threat in certain pockets, certain parts, smaller parts of Iraq, and they also remain a threat in Syria. So they're not done yet.
Okay. Good to see you, my friend. Have a great week. So that's the international news with a senior journalist here at the RJR Gleaner Communications.
You're not going to recognize the fact that West Indies won yesterday.
I mean, man, West Indies won brilliantly. I've never seen Lewis. It's the first time I've seen him.
He's
I've never seen
quite
him.
devastating.
And it's his second T20 100, and the first one was against India also.
I think he probably enjoyed the fact that Chris Gayle was at the other end of it for a while with him.
Left-hander also. All right, News in 5. When we come back, we have more smiles. Stay with us, please.